Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a nuestro webinar del control a la evaluación inteligente. Hoy tengo conmigo a Luke, que es el director de Europa en Feedback Fruits. Habla perfectamente el español. No sé si quieres decir algo, Luke.
Buenas tardes.
Vale, pues os explico, ¿vale? Este webinar está focalizado en compartir con vosotros los retos que tenemos los docentes ahora mismo en el uso de la IA en nuestras evaluaciones y qué podemos hacer pues para que no sea un dolor de cabeza, ¿vale? Ni para los docentes ni para los estudiantes. Entonces, vamos a hacer este webinar de la mano de Feedback Fruits con mi compañero Luke. La mitad del webinar va a ser en inglés, ¿vale? Si alguien tiene alguna pregunta, duda, cuestión, lo podéis hacer a través del chat. Tendremos unos minutillos al final del webinar para contestar cualquier de las preguntas que tengáis. ¿Vale? Vamos a dar un par de minutitos para que la gente se conecte y empezamos. Y nada, lo dicho, bienvenidos, bienvenidas. Estoy con Luke, el director de Europa en Feedback Fruits. Luke, say hello. O hola.
Hola, everyone. Pleasure to meet you. My name's Luke McClelland. I'm the European Director here at Feedback Groups. So I oversee our 87 universities that are currently in Europe that utilize feedback fruits. And yeah, I'm excited to spend the next hour or so with you and talk you through why we're expanding so much in the Spanish region.
Perfecto, muchísimas gracias. Pues nada, chicos y chicas, empezamos. Bienvenidos a nuestro webinar del control a la evaluación inteligente. Como os he comentado, estoy con Luke, que ahora os lo presento y él se ha presentado. ¿Vale? Lo que os decía, va a haber una parte de la presentación en español, otra parte en inglés. Si alguien tiene alguna duda, cuestión, pregunta, duda, lo podéis poner en el chat y después contestamos, ¿de acuerdo? ¿Qué es lo que vamos a ver hoy? Os voy a introducir un poco qué es Altia, ¿vale? Si veis que miro para el otro lado es que tengo una pantalla más grande, ¿vale? Y así pues puedo ir haciendo y hacer seguimiento a las preguntas en el chat. Después vamos a hablar de la realidad de la evaluación en el contexto de educación superior actual, los nuevos enfoques. Luke nos va a dar una pincelada de lo que es Feedback Fruits, ¿vale? No podremos ver toda la herramienta al completo, pero Luke nos va a mostrar las partes más interesantes, ¿vale? También os voy a decir que nos vamos a centrar mucho con el uso de la IA, ¿vale? Y finalmente, como os decía anteriormente, vamos a hacer preguntas y respuestas. ¿Vale? Yo soy Marina Vicente, soy gerente de cuentas aquí en Altia. Llevo todo lo que es industria de educación y, como os he comentado, estamos aquí con Luke, que es el director de Europa en Feedback Fruits. Así que empezamos. Para quien se haya conectado y no conozca qué es Altia, ¿vale? Somos una empresa tecnológica que diseñamos estrategias para generar valor más rápido y desarrollamos soluciones a medida. En el caso de educación, ¿vale? Damos soporte y servicio desde la parte de onboarding al alumno, ¿vale? Hasta soporte instruccional de primer nivel y segundo nivel, y tenemos un ecosistema de aprendizaje muy potente, entre el cual se encuentra la herramienta de Feedback Fruits, ¿vale? Que nos va a gestionar, nos va a ayudar a toda la parte de evaluación, ¿vale? Y ahora os lo mostraremos. ¿Cuáles son los principales retos que tenemos ahora en el tema de la evaluación? Pues que básicamente el problema real que tenemos radica en el miedo que mayoritariamente tenemos los docentes en cómo usa nuestro alumnado la IA, ¿vale? Para mí esto es uno de los mayores retos, ¿vale? Que nos hará replantear el modelo de evaluación que debemos seguir. Ya no nos vale poner un examen tipo test, ¿vale? Porque sabemos que el alumno, si no ponemos un proctoring, va a copiar, y ya no nos vale poner una actividad de hacer una submission o entregar un trabajo, ¿vale? Porque el alumno sabemos pues, que le va a preguntar a Claude o a Claude, como mucha gente dice aquí en España, ¿vale? Que le resuelva la actividad. ¿Vale? Entonces tenemos que buscar otra manera de evaluar a los estudiantes. ¿Vale? Sí que es verdad que nos encontramos que muchas veces necesitamos alfabetización, ¿no? Cualquiera ahora dice que utiliza la IA, ¿vale? Pero tenemos que aprender a cómo realizar un prompt, el contexto, qué le preguntamos a la inteligencia artificial, cómo le preguntamos y qué tipo de perfil eh, somos nosotros enfrente de la inteligencia artificial. Hace un par de semanas estaba en un webinar con la UNIR, y habían varias ponencias y me gustó muchísimo una ponencia de Consuelo, de Chelo, que es la vice, creo que es vice de Ghana o vicerrectora de la BIU, ¿vale? Donde mostraba un cuadro de 9 perfiles de IA, ¿no? Y teníamos el que realmente utiliza la IA y no chequea nada, o el que realmente utiliza la IA con un pensamiento crítico detrás. Y es ahí donde tenemos que ir, ¿vale? Entonces, lo que tenemos que cambiar es la evaluación traduccional. Y ya sabemos todos los que estamos aquí que la IA nos puede hacer el contenido, ¿no? Pero no nos va a evaluar nunca esas soft skills que nosotros necesitamos evaluar como docentes, ¿no? Como por ejemplo el pensamiento crítico. Pero se puede llegar a conseguir y veremos que con Feedback Fruits, ¿vale? Sí podemos tener ese enfoque pedagógico, ¿no? Que muchas veces utilizamos y decimos que sí, que tenemos que utilizar la IA a nivel ético, responsable, y muchas veces nos dejamos la parte pedagógica. Y con Feedback Fruits lo que vamos a conseguir es que la IA también se pueda implementar desde una visión pedagógica, ¿vale? Ahora en un poco lo vemos. ¿Vale? Entonces, básicamente los retos principales es que muchas veces los docentes evaluamos el producto y no evaluamos el aprendizaje que el alumno tiene a lo largo del curso, ¿vale? No evaluamos el proceso, valoramos el resultado final. Sí que es verdad que hay muchas instituciones ya que utilizan la evaluación continua, ¿no? Como parte pues del peso gordo para tener la nota final, ¿no? Que muchas veces ya deja de ser una nota numérica y pasa a ser una nota más competencial eh, y que valoramos otras cosas, ¿no? Entonces, otra de las cosas que tenemos que cambiar también es cómo generamos los contenidos. Veremos que con Feedback Fruits, ¿vale? Podemos generar contenidos de calidad, ¿vale? Para aumentar el engagement de los estudiantes, ¿vale? Su motivación y que podemos asegurarnos que realmente el estudiante está consumiendo todo el contenido que nosotros ofrecemos. Ahora lo veremos que Luke nos enseñará. Y gracias a Feedback Fruits, que es una herramienta estrella, ya lo veréis, ¿vale? Podemos encontrar evidencias, ¿vale? Y preguntarle al estudiante que nos explique cuál es el proceso que ha seguido en la utilización de la IA. Y lo podemos monitorizar y lo podremos ver, que ahora, insisto, Luke os lo enseñará, ¿de acuerdo? Entonces, a grosso modo y a modo resumen, ¿vale? Lo que tenemos que hacer es y empezar a implementar evaluaciones diagnósticas y más evaluación continua, no tanto una evaluación final con un examen tipo test, ¿vale? Tenemos que hacer ese cambio de chip y ese cambio de mentalidad de que utilizar la IA no es una cosa mala, sino que realmente nos puede apoyar en el aprendizaje de todos nuestros estudiantes, ¿vale? Tenemos que evidentemente definir esas estrategias y cómo queremos implementar la IA pedagógicamente dentro de la organización y ver la IA como una oportunidad, que es lo que os decía, una oportunidad de aprendizaje, tanto para el docente como para el estudiante. ¿Vale? Y siempre, evidentemente, os invito a hacer retrospectiva de cada uno de los cursos y cada una de las evaluaciones que hagáis como docentes, si sois los que estáis aquí, los docentes o coordinadores académicos, os invito a hacer retrospectiva, ¿vale? Para seguir mejorando con el uso de la IA en procesos a nivel pedagógico, ético y de manera, evidentemente, responsable. Doy paso ahora a Luke para que nos cuente un poco más sobre Feedback Fruits. Y lo dicho, esta parte va a ser en inglés, ¿vale? Pero si alguien tiene alguna pregunta, cuestión, pues que lo ponga por el chat e intentaré también hacer un poco de resumen al final, ¿vale? Así que, Luke, the stage is all yours.
Vale. Nice one. Uh, yeah, just to give a quick overview of what Feedback Fruits is for those who may not have heard about us before. Feedback Fruits started in 2012 in the Netherlands, stemmed from TU Delft. So it was a university project originally built for students to give feedback on their educators. It then evolved into the 15 different pedagogical tools that integrate straight into the LMS that I'm going to show you later on. We currently are in over 200 institutions. 87 of those institutions are in Europe. Some notable names would be IE Business School in Madrid, EdHec and ESSEC in France, University of Copenhagen, University of Oslo, Leeds University, and Durham University are all users of Feedback Fruits in some capacity. Some use it for peer-to-peer feedback, some use it for AI automation and scaling better feedback practices, and others use it for student engagement, analytics, and ways to increase student retention, particularly with hybrid and remote courses. The whole idea of the tools is that it gives better outcomes for the student, and it also saves faculty a lot of time and creates a lot more consistency throughout institutions, particularly with the ability to save rubrics and template those and have those scaled across the university. Do I have control of this? Nice one. Um, so the key themes that have come up in the last 18 months, of course, is AI. How do we ensure that students are equipped when they leave university with real world skills? How do we ensure that academic integrity is protected, especially with the use of generative AI? And so a lot of universities are going back to things such as authentic assessment, programmatic assessment, and competency-based assessment. And so these six tools that I've picked out from our tool suite really help bring this practice together. So things such as peer review, where students can get more feedback from their peers and learn critical thinking, learn how to give, receive, and utilize feedback as they would in the workplace. Self-assessment, so having that ability to critically analyze and reflect on a piece of work, all with rubrics in place to help that guardrails in place. Uh, Competency-based assessment, ensuring that students are able to track their progress throughout their learning journey, and also consolidate all their feedback together so that whenever they do get feedback from peers or from educators, they can find it in one place and then utilize it for the next piece of work that they submit. Then, of course, we have our AI tools, so AI practice and automated feedback. These tools are for scaling and automating formative and summative feedback practices, which I'm going to demonstrate later on. And AI practice in particular is how we can utilize things such as ChatGPT in an academically integral and authentic way, ensuring that students are still understanding the work that they're bringing out and they're not just putting a prompt into generative AI and believing the first thing that comes out. And so I will now share my screen. Am I right in saying that was the last slide?
Yes.
Cool. So just before I go into the demonstration and show you what Feedback Fruits looks like in a Canvas, Moodle, Brightspace environment, the tools that you see in front of you are the 15 pedagogical tools that Feedback Fruits offer. All of these integrate with LTI and API integration, meaning that all the groups, all the grades sync back and forth with your LMS. You'll see during the demonstration that you never leave the LMS. There's no other usernames, no other passwords. It just looks like another part of your VLE. So the tools fall into three main categories. The green tools fall into the feedback and assessment solution. So these tools are built to help scale feedback, help with group work, and automate certain formative and summative feedback practices. The blue solution is collaboration and engagement. So particularly for students who are working hybrid or working fully remote, how to ensure that they're utilizing active pedagogies and not passive pedagogies. So for instance, one thing that we learned during the pandemic was that you can't just record a lecture, put it online, and then call that teaching. So we need to ensure that we are able to socially annotate things, able to embed questions and videos and documents and make it not only engaging for the students, but also have analytics on the background to ensure that students understand the work that they're submitting, but also so that you can track that student engagement and identify any early warning signs for students who may not be engaged and maybe be a retention risk. And then we have our newest solution in the red here. This is our AI literacy and authentic learning solution. So this is where all the new shiny AI features are hidden in Feedback Fruits, where we have assignment review and automated feedback, which are there to scale formative and summative feedback for educators, where AI can look at an exam assignment, look at a document submitted by a student, look at the rubrics, and then give suggested feedback based on those three components. We have AI practice, which I touched on earlier on, which is how students can use which is how students can learn how to use generative AI, such as ChatGPT, such as Claude, in a way that still protects the academic integrity and ensures they still have their critical thinking. And then we have our newest tools, which are coming out next month, actually. So you'll be some of the first people to see a glimpse of those, which is oral assessment, AI oral practice, and oral self-reflection. I'll show you these towards the end of the demo. Uh, just before I move on as well, we have our competency-based assessment, which again is how students are empowered to track their development as they go on through their learning journey against certain rubrics and against certain structures, and also a way for them to consolidate all their feedback so it's all in one place and they don't have to search through the LMS for other assignments and so on. And then the Learning Design Studio, which came out in January. This is a way that you can use building blocks to create customized workflows for educators to create customized learning journeys for students. Uh, so the idea is that you can utilize AI to support the learning journey, but we're really conscious to say that we're a pedagogy first company. So we're not an AI company. We have a pedagogy first approach to the way we develop all of our tools. All of our tools are developed with our partner institutions as well. So if you are a partner with Feedback Fruits, you get a lot of input into the roadmap, into what's going to be the most pedagogically sound way to utilize these tools. And then, as I mentioned before, behind every tool that you're going to see today are really granular student engagement analytics so that you're able to track that student engagement, see how long each student is spending on each module, and get a better understanding of if students understand collectively a thing in a module, or if we need to course correct, make some adjustments, and also ensure that student retention is a proactive exercise and not a reactive exercise. And
Luke,
so,
sorry to
yeah,
interrupt. We have a question that I think that it would be
yeah,
amazing if you can
absolutely.
respond to that. So it's all about which are the models that, so the AI models that Feedback Fruits uses.
Yep. Cool. Two answers to that. So the first thing I'll talk about before I speak about the models is that Feedback Fruits were one of the first companies to sign the EU AI Act. So all of the AI that you'll see in our features today are a closed feedback loop. What that means is that we cannot use any student data to train our AI models. And we obviously fall in line with all the standard GDPR and European criteria that we have to because we're a Dutch company. The models that we use for our AI features are Microsoft Azure, and there's one AI practice, which you're going to see later, which is ChatGPT version 4. But again, it's a closed version of this, meaning that it doesn't use any student data to train that model. Um, and every AI feature that you see can also be turned off or on. So the tools are fully flexible on how much or how little AI you would like to include. And the reason for that is some universities are still a little hesitant about how much AI interference they want in assessment, which is why, again, we present ourselves as a pedagogy first company, because whether you include the AI or don't include the AI, the tools are still pretty universal to be able to be utilized in most pedagogical use cases.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hope that answers the question.
Thank you.
So if you look at the 15 tools within our tool suite, you'll notice that they can represent several other edtech companies out there. So competency-based assessment or ePortfolio, the likes of PebblePad, peer review would be your Peerceptive, Padlet would be your discussion board that we have installed. And so the idea for a university is that you can utilize the Feedback Fruits teaching and learning suite. This will create a much less friction from the student perspective, where you're just using one system built within the VLE that you never have to leave. And also is a really positive step for faculty adoption because the faculty, the educators who are going to be utilizing these tools, they only need to learn how to use one of these tools. They're all structured in certain way in such a way that once you've learned one tool, you can figure out all of them. And so ensuring that the tools are scalable and utilizable within the institution is a massive part of how we develop these tools. Oof, I'm gonna spoil the surprise here. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into my Canvas environment and show you what these tools look like in practice. The first one I'm going to show you from the teacher perspective is our group formation tool. It falls into our feedback and assessment toolkit. And the idea behind this is simple. How do you create groups within your institution? Are they random? Are they Uh, is it a manual process? Do you have a big, ugly spreadsheet that you have to keep updating as students are going into different groups? Well, this tool solves all of those problems. Very simple. At the start of a cohort or whenever you're ready to implement some group work into your module, you can send these students a survey. And this survey can be based on any questions that you want. So, practical things such as what day of the week are you able to meet for part of your group work? Or what strength do you add to a group? You know, are you a leader? Are you a presenter? Are you a researcher? And so on. It can be any questions that you want. And you can ensure that the students are grouped together based on similar or dissimilar answers. And then you can also weight those answers in order of importance. So, for example, what day of the week are students able to meet on is a very important answer. So, that's high importance because we want those students to definitely be grouped together. However, things such as what is your star sign is probably a lot less important. And so that would be in the 1 or 0 category. Once you've done this, again, you can add as many questions as you like. You can save this activity, send it out to the students, and then once the students have answered the questions, you can configure those groups and then publish it straight into your LMS environment. So into your Canvas, into your Blackboard, Brightspace, Moodle, whatever that is. So you can use those groups in the LMS and in feedback fruits activities. Now, if there's a student that doesn't answer the questions on time, or that you know that Rika and David were in the same group last time, you can, of course, manually override this very easily and then publish the groups just like that. Very simple. By the way, if there's any questions about any of these tools, please put it into the chat and I'm more than happy to answer this. So once we've done that, I would like the students to, let's say, socially annotate a document or socially annotate a video that I've uploaded. Let's say it's a Friday, we finished a module. On Monday, we're going to start a new piece of work. And I want the students to read this document or watch this video over the weekend to ensure that they're coming to class prepared. So there's two things that can go wrong with that. One, we don't know if the students are actually doing the work. And two, we don't know if the students are actually understanding the work. So this is a really simple tool that we can do to ensure that students are tracked and understood with this. Very simple here. I am a student in my Canvas environment. I've seen that the educator has asked me to read this document. I can see that I'm going to get 10% for reading the document, 55% for answering the questions, and I also have to join one discussion to get that extra 35%. So when I open my document, I can see here that the educator has put a discussion prompt in. And I can also see with the names such as Diligent Purple Peach or Generous Teal Cherry that the educator has put anonymous mode onto this piece of work. This can be toggled off or on, so the students can either know who each other are or they don't at all. So from this, I can then add my comment. I can also add any supporting documents. So, oh, have you read this? Have you looked at that to support my argument? And I can also reply to my peers' comment. I can like it. It's got a very social media feel, super easy. And then I move on to the next question. So you can see here that the document has been cut off and I cannot move past this part in the document until I've engaged with this multiple choice question that the educator has embedded. So this means that I can't just scroll to the bottom of the document and get all of my marks. I actually have to read the document, look at the question, submit my answer. In this case, I got it right because I'm a great student. And then that'll unlock the next part of the document. I can also highlight a part and start my own discussion. And that can either be within one of my groups, that can be with the whole class, or that can be just with the educator. And again, I can have a voice note, I can attach a document, whatever that is. and then move on. I can also add a reflection step here if I so choose. What this looks like from the educator point of view is again on a high level point. The first thing I want to see on Monday when my students come into class is have my students actually done the work and then also have they understood the work. Just before I move on, all the analytics that you're going to see down here can be exported into a Excel sheet. So if you do have any other applications for student tracking or third parties, it can be exported just by the click of this. But now I can see how the students have done, have they completed it? I can see the keywords that are showing up in the discussion points, so I can identify any themes, anything that students understand or do not understand. And here I can see the individual student progress, how long they're spending on the document. And then I want to see collectively, did the students get all the questions correct? Or did the students struggle on certain things? So in terms of how they answered and in terms of how many they skipped, if we made skip a possibility. So this means now that I know that students don't understand as much as I thought they maybe would from this document, so I know I need to course correct, go over some of the content, and ensure the students understand before we move on to the next part. Once I've done this, I can either schedule publishing or publish the grades myself. Those grades will go straight back into your Canvas gradebook or Moodle gradebook, any grading consolidation. I can see how the students are getting their points. And then before I post, I can always make any adjustments I want as the educator. So if I think that Sept needs more, I can do that and then publish the grade. Super simple. The exact same concept can be used for a video file where you can simply upload a video yourself, or you can copy and paste a YouTube link and it'll embed this video. And then I, as the student, have to go in. And again, I cannot get past a certain point in this video until I've engaged with this question. So a really simple way to ensure that students are engaged, particularly if they're remote. And here's the reflection step as well. That gets me another 10% of the grade. In this case, I've already filled it out. Any questions on the chat that I need to be aware of, Marina, or am I good to go?
No, I have already replied some of them. So we had if there is an integration with Blackboard. So I
Yep.
said via LTI, the AI models that Feedback Fruits uses, and also just where when you mention that you can get all the data into an Excel file, we've got a question about it as well. And for you to remind, we have only 5 minutes left. So if you want to show the AI piece and kind
Got
of
you.
like the AI coach,
Yep, absolutely.
dejamos lo mejor para el final siempre, chicos.
Cool. So I'll move on to my scalable formative feedback with some of our AI tools here. So looking at assignment review, very simple. The student submits a piece of work, and I need a way to give students more formative feedback with a little help from AI, but I still want to ensure that the academic integrity is protected and that it's not just AI grading AI. So I can go down here, see the students' work. And as I said, all the rubrics you can see here are fully customizable. They can also be saved, templated, and then kept in an institutional or faculty library that educators can just click and drag for all activities. So you can see here the AI reads the rubrics, reads the instructions from the educator, and then also reads the content of the essay. And here gives me a suggested grade for each piece of work. And then when I open the document itself, and again, I can still see my things here, I can then highlight a piece here, click which rubric I want to refer to, and then adopt a piece of formative feedback. This does come in Spanish, by the way, for this student. Now, a really cool thing about this feature, I The student will be told that AI was used to write this feedback unless the educator changes 20% of the work. So what this does is it means that the student has to, or sorry, the educator has to still critically analyze and read the content and read the feedback, but you can still add your own feedback, which means that the student will not be told that AI was used to write this feedback, ensuring that there's still great quality within the course. And then I can see collectively how my students have done within this one essay here. And again, once I finish that, I can go in, publish the grade, straight back into the VLE. The next thing I'll show is our peer review. I'm just going to show this on the student side to show the AI functionality there. Peer review, obviously, a really authentic assessment way of analyzing students and their critical thinking skills, but also a way to build real 21st century skills for the world of work. So here the student has to do their peer review to, again, an anonymized student. Now, if you want to take away anonymity, totally fine, up to you. I can see the rubrics. I can open up my peer's piece of work. Oh, the old live demo curse. Here we go. And then once I highlight a part of this, I'm now ready to give my peer feedback to my peer. But if I just say this is bad, which obviously is not the most constructive feedback in the world, this AI generative feedback coach is going to ask me to reiterate, it's going to ask me to use real world examples, it's going to ask me to refer to the rubrics. And so the more I interact with this model, soon it's going to tell me that this is constructive feedback, that this is utilizable, and that student is able to use this feedback. Super simple. Last thing I'm going to show, because I'm aware of time, is our newest product that's coming out, which is AI oral conversation. So these three down here, that's a really simple concept. How to ensure that when students are submitting an essay, submitting a presentation, if they are going to use generative AI, how do we make sure that they understand the content of what they're submitting? And so very simply, the student will submit their assignments, again, presentation, essay, whatever that is, and then they're going to have a learning conversation. So what this is as soon as they've submitted their piece of work, they'll have to have a video, audio, or text conversation. The educator can decide which one with an AI model. And this model is going to ask the students for around 5 minutes to explain how they got to the conclusion of their piece of work. What methodology did they use? Why did they use this source? And after they've had this conversation, if they know the content of their work really well, the educator will get an authenticity report. So the student won't see the results of this, it'll only go to the educator. And the authenticity report will say there's either a high, medium, or low confidence that the student fully understands the content of the work that they have submitted to their educator. And so, from the teacher's point of view, they'll see beside their submission high confidence that the student understands the essay, low confidence, probably used a lot of generative AI and didn't check a lot of what was being said, medium confidence, they probably used AI but understand the gist of what they were submitting. And so that is just a part of the Feedback Fruits tool suite. Again, there's plenty of other pedagogical use cases that we can facilitate. But yeah, I'll pass it back to Marina to address any of the questions or learnings.
Perfecto, muchas gracias, Luke. No sé si, mira, justo tenemos una pregunta. Espera, a ver que se me ha quedado esto aquí. Y ahora ya cerramos. Okay. So we got, it was not a question, Luke, for you. So it's excellent New AI Tool, congrats. Es, como habéis visto, una herramienta muy buena, ¿vale? Pensada sobre todo a nivel pedagógico, ¿vale? Para ayudar tanto al docente como a los estudiantes, lo que os decía, a utilizar la IA y a ver la IA como un apoyo, no como una cosa que tenemos que tenerle miedo. ¿Vale? Entonces, os comparto tres cositas que hemos llegado a la conclusión para que os llevéis del webinar, ¿vale? La IA no rompió la evaluación, ¿vale? De hecho, puso en evidencia lo que ya no funcionaba, lo que estaba roto, ¿vale? Y nos da un punto para que redefinamos lo que estamos haciendo como docentes. ¿Vale? La integridad académica, perdón, se diseña, no hace falta herramientas de proctoring para controlar y para ver si el estudiante comprende o no comprende, se está copiando, cheating, no cheating, ¿vale? Tenemos herramientas como ha visto Luke dentro de Feedback Fruits, ¿vale? Que nos permiten también ver la autenticidad de lo que está haciendo el estudiante y otras maneras de evaluar, justamente para evaluar esas competencias que necesitamos en el siglo actual y competencias que vamos a utilizar en nuestro día a día cuando el estudiante ya no esté en la universidad y esté en el mundo real, en el mundo laboral, vamos. Y finalmente, básicamente tienes las herramientas, una de ellas es Feedback Fruits, ¿vale? Que realmente te acompaña durante todo el proceso pedagógico, durante todo el diseño de esta actividad pedagógica, ¿vale? Y aparte tenemos la evidencia de realmente si funciona o no funciona y cuáles son los objetivos que están consiguiendo nuestros estudiantes, ¿vale? Si lo hacen bien, si no, si qué competencias tienen y qué competencias no tienen, ¿vale? Gracias a la inteligencia artificial, ¿vale? Y a todos los datos que os da Feedback Fruits, podéis anticiparos, ¿vale? Si hay estudiantes pues, que necesitan más refuerzo en ciertas competencias, ¿vale? O en ciertas habilidades. Entonces, dicho eso, os proponemos tanto Luke y yo, ¿vale? Los que estáis aquí, si queréis, como siguiente paso, enviarnos, os ponéis en contacto con nosotros, ¿vale? Traéis un curso que queráis transformar, ¿vale? Y juntos os enseñamos cómo podéis redefinir, ¿vale? Y darle una vuelta a vuestra evaluación, ¿vale? Que hacéis en esos cursos. Y nada, agradecer mucho a Luke, ¿vale? Su tiempo de hoy. Vamos a dejar 5 minutillos por si tenéis alguna pregunta más, ¿vale? Que las vamos a contestar todas las que podamos. Y nada, daros las gracias a los asistentes por haber venido al webinar y esperemos que os animáis a enviarnos un curso para que os ayudemos a transformar esas evaluaciones. Nada, tenemos alguna aportación en el chat. Luke, that's for you. So thank you very much for the presentation. Eh, Muchas gracias, no voy a decir nombres, ¿vale? Por tema de protección, pero muchas gracias a ti por haber asistido a este webinar y al resto. Muchísimas gracias por vuestro tiempo. Y que vaya muy bien el resto de día. Muchas gracias, Luke. Y cerramos aquí el webinar. Para los que queráis compartir después la grabación, os enviaremos un enlace de grabación, ¿vale? Para que podáis rever el vídeo tantas veces como queráis, ¿vale? Y si no, lo dicho, os animamos a que nos enviéis un curso, ¿vale? Y así os enseñamos a redefinir vuestra evaluación. So thank you, Luke, very much.
Nice one. Thank you everyone for
And
joining.
and have a great rest of the evening.
Yes, have a good day.
You too.